I don't know why my coworker Seth hated me. I didn't do anything to him. We weren't even in the same department. But when we passed each other in the hallway, he'd always glare at me. At meetings, he shot down every idea I had. It was obvious he had a grudge, but I felt too awkward to confront him about it. One day, I caught him hanging around in the parking lot after work. He looked really suspicious, like I just caught him doing something illegal. He hurried off before I could say anything. The next morning, I was set to meet with a potential client at his office. I worked really hard on a presentation that I knew he'd like, spending all week adjusting the PowerPoint and making sure my speech was perfect. I was a little nervous, but very prepared. On my drive to the client's office, a traffic cop pulled me over. I knew I wasn't speeding. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I was honest with him. I had no idea why he pulled me over. Very politely, I told him I was on my way to an important client meeting. He asked for my license and registration and took his sweet-ass time looking through everything, like he wanted me to be late. Then he asked me to step out. I followed him to the back of the car, where he angrily pointed toward my license plate. "Do you care to explain yourself?" I still had no idea what he was talking about. Then I saw my license plate. It should have been a random selection of numbers and letters, but instead it read STFU-PLS. Someone had switched my license plate. I immediately remembered seeing Seth in the parking lot. It was definitely him who'd done it. "It's illegal to use a fake license plate. Plus, I don't appreciate the profanity." I didn't understand what he meant by profanity. It didn't look like an actual word to me, but apparently it meant something to the officer. "I'm sorry, officer, but I didn't do this. Someone changed my license plate." He was not impressed by that answer. He spent the next 15 minutes lecturing me about decency and the law. I think he knew that I didn't purposely change my license plate, but he kept saying that any driver had the obligation to check their car before they got on the road. I thought that was total BS. Did he seriously think every driver looks at their license plate every morning just in case someone tampered with it? That made no sense. Eventually, he figured out that the fake license was stuck on top of my real one. So he removed it, wrote me a hefty ticket, and sent me on my way. By that time, I was already 30 minutes late for my meeting. The policeman wouldn't let me call them when he was lecturing me, so I left a message with the secretary as I drove. When I arrived, the boss wouldn't even meet with me. He had his assistant relay the message that he was no longer interested in hearing my presentation. I was furious. I drove right back to my office where Seth was chatting with another coworker at the water cooler. He didn't say anything to me, but his devious smirk told me everything I needed to know. "You think you're funny? We lost a client because of you." "I have no idea what you're talking about, ma'am." I probably shouldn't have confronted him in front of everybody. The policeman confiscated the fake license plate, so I didn't have any evidence, just my ticket. Our boss rushed over while I was screaming at him. He was a pretty traditional guy, so he did not appreciate the string of profanities I hurled at Seth. He had to physically pull me into his office, where he accused me of messing up my presentation and blaming Seth for it. I tried to explain what actually happened, but he wouldn't listen. He reported me to HR, and he warned me that if I confronted Seth again, he'd fire me. I was by far his highest performing employee, but he had zero tolerance for workplace shenanigans, as he put it. I left his office fuming. I needed to get back at Seth, but I had to be subtle about it. I avoided Seth for the next few days until I came up with a plan. After everyone had gone home, I snuck into his cubicle and looked through his drawers. He had a whole stack of novelty license plates hidden under some folders. I had no doubt he'd try to mess with me again, but this time I'd be prepared. The next morning, I rigged my car. I bought a small die pack, the kind used in bank security, and wired it under my license plate. If anyone tried to tamper with it, they'd get a face full of permanent blue ink. Then I went into the office and stopped by Seth's cubicle to chat with another coworker. I made sure Seth could hear every word. "Great news. They're giving me a second chance at my presentation. I have to head there in 30 minutes. I rushed into my cubicle pretending to get ready. Sure enough, I heard Seth rifling through his drawers. Then he ran off to the parking lot to do exactly what I expected. 20 minutes later, he came storming into the office, his face and hands covered in blue ink. Our boss asked him what happened, but he was so consumed by anger that he charged straight toward me. His blue hands grabbed me by the shirt and he pulled me close. His face was inches away from mine, and I could see the fury in his eyes. "I'll sue you! That was an assault!" Our boss had to physically pull him off of me. Once Seth calmed down, he realized he was screwed. If he explained what happened, he'd be admitting to sabotaging my car. With time, he would have been devious enough to come up with some excuse, but right then he couldn't think of anything. All I had to do was walk over to his desk and pull out the stack of fake license plates. Our boss looked through each one, grimacing at the implied profanity. He seemed really offended. Seth was escorted off the premises that day. I'm still working at the company. I never landed that client, but I've signed on plenty more in the last few months. I think they're giving me a raise. Oh, and a few days after the ink incident, Seth sued me for assault. Not only did the judge dismiss my case, but he forced Seth to pay for my ticket.